Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and last night I held my second Union Arena event ever, and it was quite the turnout. We had over 100 players with 124, really fantastic, 7 rounds of Swiss, and I'm really happy with the turnout for it. So I know you guys are excited about this card game, and I'm going to continue supporting in the future, but I am just really grateful and thankful for everyone who played last night as well, and just supported in general. So a couple of things before we get started though. First, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. We're going to make more Union Arena content in the future, especially with JJK on the horizon. And then also, if you guys want any deck lists for this event or many others, as well as being updated in the future, you can check out my website, Eggman Events, which is linked in the description. So I also do want to say big shout outs to Cosmic for being my co-commentator for the event last night. The entire VOD is on YouTube, linked in the description, free to watch. You can make sure to do that. And then also shouts to our judges, CJ and Tyler, for helping out. I would not be able to do this event without them, and I really do appreciate all their work for the event last night. So again, I should be doing another one of these in the next couple weeks after JJK releases. I'll let you know when signups go live, so make sure to follow my socials, and I'm looking forward to that one as well. But jumping into this one in particular, of the top 16, we'd have 7 copies of Kurapika, 3 Yellow Bleach, 2 Ichigo, 2 Toshiros, 1 Renji Rush, and 1 Blue Bomber. So a little bit more diverse from our first tournament as well. Obviously, Kurapika is doing very well in this format. Didn't get first place, but it did get a lot of our X1 spots, and it's doing quite well. Yellow Bleach getting the second most representation is really interesting to me. I will say they were on the X2 side of this, so they weren't necessarily, all X1. X1s were almost exclusively green decks, right, with the Kurapika and the Toshiro taking most of it, and then we also had a couple copies, one Renji Rush and 1 Purple Ichigo for our top 8. And then looking at the archetype breakdown again, this is a little bit surface level. It's a little bit tricky to, with big data sets, kind of differentiate between something like a Renji deck and a Bleach deck, at least efficiently. But we see 35 people on Purple Bleach archetype, 32 people on Green Hunter, 17 on Yellow Bleach and Green Bleach, and then 13 of Purple Hunter, and 10 of the Blue Hunter. So still a pretty good spread of decks that are available. 4 different archetype color combinations taking just a little bit over 75%, so I think that's interesting. Obviously, this is the smallest the card pool and IP pool are going to be for this game ever, and we'll have to see what happens as we get more and more in the next couple weeks as well. But we are going to go over the top placing list for each one of these archetypes, starting off with Tyler's first place version of Toshiro. And this is a really interesting build that I haven't seen previously. It's more of like a rush version of the build, in the sense that, our top end is really just the Toshiro itself as well as the Kenpachi. So we're not running the Unohana, which I know a lot of people kind of pair those two up together, but more of just like playing out a bunch of our 13 court guard squads as soon as we can, be very fast with it. I mean, we're playing 16 copies of the 0 drops. We are playing a couple 1 drops, including the Yachiru, which helps us like essentially give our Kenpachi rush, for lack of other words. It is something you have to do, back to back, but that is helpful. We have the Momo, which is just a really good body at 25k, and the after trigger is nice. We have the Toshiro, we have the Shinji, which spoilers, does help you close out games, making sure that you can give impact to something even if just temporary. That does help out a lot. And then our Kenpachi. So this one I do think is really interesting. It does help against purple because it's not affected by your by BP reducing abilities, so that does make it difficult to remove. It means that the raid version of the Ichigo is not able to remove this since it does BP minus. So that is something that's kind of impactful for you. So other than that, we just kind of have our final trigger and our special trigger. But this deck kind of surprised me, and obviously a lot of people too, but just very strong and just very fast too, being able to do that. And then I think Toshiro being able to set this up more consistently on just getting out as many 13 court guard squads as at first, just so you can get that first stun, can impact a lot. So this is the build here from Tyler. Congratulations for their first place with this green Toshiro deck. And then next up, we've got Kurapika. So this is is Jeremy's version of it. I actually also have Chris's version of it because it was a little bit different with the Gone raid, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But we've been seeing a lot of this deck. I will still say it's probably default the best deck in the format right now. Some changes I've been seeing recently. One is the addition of the melody. So this character generates energy even if it's on the front line. I think a lot of people have had this weird issue where if they don't find their double energy, they're kind of like energy locked on the back line with all their single energies. And the best thing about this deck is this 7-cost Kurapika. But the worst thing about it is that to put this out, you need to have 3 double energies in your back line, which is a little bit tricky to do consistently at times. So I think melody does help you do that quite a lot. Other than that, just kind of the more standard cards, we do see like the double energy of the Basho. We have the Leorio here as well. Netero is fantastic for us too. Neon, 3 copies of this, being able to help us accelerate our plays and still be a double energy. And then also we do have the Leorio here, which this is a bit of a tech ad. So when played out to 1 green character card from your sideline to your hand, it is a double energy, but this can help you get your Kurapikas back. Always like the worst is like this deck kind of lives and dies on how and when you get your first raid Kurapika out, and if you find it, but then if you do, you're usually cruising. So this is the version from Jeremy, and then Kris is running, like I'm saying, like it's a Kurapika and Gone version of the deck, but this is running the raid Gone from the starter deck. So it has impact 1, and then also all the characters on your field get 1k BP until the end of the turn. This is also some really good synergy with the promo here. So being able to, if a character's 5k or more BP is on your field, this character gains impact 1, which will happen because Gone will get a 5k, and then this will be a 4k with impact. So double impact to end the game, like something I think is a lot of pressure potentially. I've also seen like a good amount of people just play this Water Divination card, which is interesting too. Nothing more than like 2 copies, but look at the top 2 cards of your deck, place any number of them on the top of your deck, and then place any remaining at the bottom, and then you get to draw 2 cards. So you can see if you have a Kurapika at the top or bottom, and if you don't, you put both at the bottom, draw 2 new cards, and help you find there. So generally these kind of cards are a little bit slow in a lot of ways, since it you kind of give out a body on board. But when we have like such a good 5k that can be used defensively and remove anything we want, I think seeing like a copy or 2 of Water Divination makes sense. So especially since we do have like more than 1 raid target in this deck, which we normally don't, and we only have it with the 0-cost Gone. We don't have any additional Gones to help us get there. So this is an interesting build, and congratulations to both Jeremy as well as Kris for their finishes with Kurapika. Next up, we've got John's version of Renji Rush, and John's definitely one of the people who's helped popularize this deck here in the West. This is also pretty similar to the build that won my event last time, piloted by Jake. So the main idea, I know a lot of people get this question, and I think it's been pretty normalized by now, but I'll just kind of go over anyways. Most people look at this deck and they're like, oh, we have this Rukia raid card, but where's our Rukias? Where's our 0-cost? Well, 0-cost doesn't exist, but the 3-cost, where's our 3-cost? And the reason for it is that we just really want to put out as many of our 4k bodies as we can. Being able to just make a wall of them, even if they don't have any effects, is quite good for this deck in general. We are able to get a good amount of removal with our Ichigos as well. Being able to get some removal with this one having impact is really nice too. And then we also have our Renji, which, you can pay 1 action point to give it double damage, even if you aren't rated, which is really nice for this card. And you generally will have some flexibility with your action points to be able to do that too. So if you haven't seen the deck played, you can definitely watch it on my live stream VOD, which is again linked in the description. But it's a very aggressive deck. You are really focused on finding exactly like 4 energy, a 5th one if you need for the raid Ichigo, but you're just very, very consistent. You're putting out a lot of pressure, and it really punishes anyone who doesn't have a really good start. If you have to like miss out on like one of your curves or something, this deck like super punishes you for it. So I think this deck is still going to be present, even though we really only got like 1 version of it in the top 16. But congratulations to John for their finish there. And then we we also do have another purple Bleach deck. This is, I'm just saying, Ichigo for this one. It's more of a standard build. You can kind of tell because we are running a little bit more of the Ichigo. We are running like the Orihime, as well as playing actually Rukia, the 3-cost Rukia. So we do have some chances to do some actual raid with it. So I don't have a lot to say with this one. This is RJ's version of the build. On release of this game a month ago, a lot of people were focused more on like the Byakuya stuff, and it's been interesting because on release in Japan, that was really popular, but with a little bit of card manipulation in the meta where they removed some cards for us, Byakuya just isn't seeming as good right now. You need a little bit more of the low to the ground. The removal from this Ichigo, even though it is expensive, is generally just better than kind of the wide board that the Byakuya is able to do, and it's just really interesting to see the transition between the two as well. So I don't have a lot to say, but big congratulations to RJ with their finish with this purple Ichigo as well. And then next up, we've got the blue bomber. So we are in X2 territory, but this is Jaime's version of the build. This is definitely like one of the more talked of decks, have like the decision of, is this good? Is this that good right now? And generally, I think it does have some tough matchups into us. We do have Genthru here, so it does let you look at the top card and give something, it doesn't reduce it by 3k, it just removes a 3k. So if your opponent kind of has a bit of a slow start, you're able to kind of remove a lot of their weenies and get that advantage there. But on the flip side, we don't really have any impact in this deck. We don't have like a lot of removal too. We do have like risky dice, which are able to give something like plus 1000 BP, so that does help us like attack over some things. We do have so many of these 3ks that we're able to turn into 4ks, which is really great. We also have this Bara here, so reveal the top card, you get to choose something with 15k or more BP, and it loses 1000. So you can use Bara first, and then you can use something like the Genthru to get rid of essentially a 4k, which does come up. But you'll see like there's just like a lot of combos for this to happen, and we don't have a lot of card draw for us. We do have like the Gone, draw one, and trash one. We also do have like the necklace and also the risky dice, but we also have to make sure that we use this Gornu for setting up, because if we miss out, we can get some big negatives for it too. But it's a really interesting deck. I know it's definitely like a fan favorite, and a lot of people are kind of seeing how viable this deck is in general. I am really surprised too. We're only playing 3 of the color trigger Genthru, but I also would say like the color trigger for blue specifically is worse than others, but it is an interesting ad for that one. So many people were just like, I have to run 4 of each, and I do think some people are saying, you know what, I don't find use in my final trigger all the time. Color triggers, I generally see 4 copies, but they're not made equal. I think the blue one is one of the worst ones compared to others, and then you always have to have your 4 special triggers. So anyways, this is the build here. I haven't done a lot of blue bomber stuff. I think the deck is intriguing, and I do like what it does, but it's not quite there for me yet, and I'm looking forward to seeing other builds and seeing how it does the next couple weeks as well. And then lastly, we do have yellow Bleach, which again, it did really show up for this event. There were a lot of people on it, and it was mid-tournament doing great with a lot of people undefeated with it right now. So we do have a couple other builds you guys can check out. All of them were X2, so there weren't any X1 versions of the build after 7 rounds, but I do think there are some really impressive finishes with it. So this is Joshua's version of the build, and my general issue with this deck is that we don't have a lot of card cycle, or the card cycle that we do have is really late game, right? We do have like the Bazb, and we also have the Jugrim too. So if on front line at the end of your attack phase, if your opponent has activated a trigger ability this turn, draw 2 cards and place 1 card from your hand to the sideline. And Cosmic and I were joking, this is the most missed trigger like effect in the game. It is kind of easy to miss because it's at the end, so it's not like when it happens, it's like at the end of it, which is interesting. Also, it has this one plate if you have less cards in your hand, which you likely will in most scenarios with this deck. Your opponent places 1 card from their hand into their sideline, which I do think kind of adds up a lot. So the fact that we're just like an impact dude though, not interacting with the board, is a little bit tricky, but it can help you get some card advantage. And then we also do have a good amount of copies of like the Bazb. I've been kind of liking this card a little bit more, the fact that it does kind of promote cycle. The only issue is for both these, right, you get cycle with both these, but it's not till 5 energy, right? You don't have like your 0 energy, you don't have any low to the ground energy stuff to be able to try to draw cards if you're looking for something, and I think that's a little bit rough. So other than that, we do just kind of run a good amount of our additional just targets for raid. We have like 4 copies of Aandroidd. We have the Yubaha on the 0 cost as well as the color trigger. This came up a little bit against some of our matches where it did deny your opponent a resource that they were probably looking for. The fact that this can like prevent a special trigger from coming out is pretty impactful too. We do also have like the Bambiet. This is, I don't know, this is a really interesting list where it can look like a little bit lopsided at sometimes, but then you just have options for a lot of stuff towards the end too. So I don't know. I'm interested to seeing Yellow Bleach in the next couple of weeks too, where it's a deck that I personally don't really believe in, but that doesn't mean that you can't believe in it, and I've been seeing a lot of people get a lot of success with it too. So this is the build here from Joshua, and congrats on their top 16, and that's going to be it for this one. So again, I really appreciate everyone who came out for this. Again, thank you to Cosmic for being my co-commentator, as well as CJ and Tyler for being our judges. And again, I'm really happy with how these are going, and you can make sure to look out for another one in the next couple weeks. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll catch you all next time.